So, my curiosity question for you is, how do you make a hard decision? Really, how do you make a hard decision? This is a thing that I have to address because personally, I've been running into trying to make some options happen. So I wrote about it, but I couldn't do this alone. I gotta do this with some other people. I gotta do this with Morgan Freeman. Hey, Morgan, can you come? Hello. Hi. Yes. Hello. My name's Morgan Freeman. And when I talk to you like this, like as if I'm God, well, hopefully you will listen to this a little bit more. Morgan, get out of here. No. Get out of here, Morgan. No. Morgan, this is my Scratch Your Own Itch episode. Get out of here. Well, fine. All right. But good luck. Good luck persuading them at all. Because after all, my voice does sound like God. Anyway, alright, that's a little fun for you. That's my little impression. I don't know if it's working or not. Let me know. Email me, logan@logantylernelson.com. And tell me what's working about this podcast and what's not working about this podcast. This, I hope, delivers you some honest advice, because it's hard to make certain life-changing decisions. And this is the way I believe that we can do it more efficiently. The thing is, though, is it's gonna take some work. And not everyone wants to do the work. First, you gotta get rid of the notion that anything about your life is really at stake. Whatever happens, you'll be fine. You're not deciding whether to do chemo or to opt out. I mean, if that was the decision, then I think you know which decision you'd make. But the thing that makes me feel a little bit better is that I know that from interviewing people such as Tom Azaker, he said something like, we're not going to get out of here alive anyway. But sometimes when I hear that, I go, all right, it's very true. That gives me a sense of being calm for just a little bit. But then I still have to make decisions. I have to deal with almost exclusively these crazy first world white people problems. But doesn't mean that I'm going to starve, sure. So I look at the bright side of things. But what if I make the wrong decision? I mean, there's very little we can't undo, though, right? I mean, really, if you make a decision that's wrong, 9 times out of 10, you can back out. If you get a job you don't love, you can quit. Of course, that doesn't make life-changing decisions any less intimidating or take away the fact that the adults in your life did next to nothing in the way of preparing us for this thing we call life. And then all of a sudden realizing that now people are asking me questions about what they should try to do with their life. And it's kind of crazy that I get emails from people that are actually asking me questions on how to change their life. And when I get these emails, I want to be really nice and answer them, but at the same time, sometimes I try to just ask them certain questions like, what's the absolute worst thing that could happen? What would you miss out on if you did do this thing? Are you fighting for a piece of a shrinking, dying industry, or are you getting something whose value will hold up over time? I never tell them what to do, though. I just ask them questions. Because the thing is, when you give people advice, it's like a math problem, right? It seems like a jumble of symbols and unknowns at first, but once you stop, breathe, and break it down, the process basically takes care of itself. So questioning is that process. You gotta isolate the variables, solve for them, and then all that is left is your answer. And sometimes when they just ask the question, they find the answer. It's crazy how that works. Curiosity leads to freedom. This strategy gives you the single most important tactic when you're trying to make life-changing decisions. Is the right quality of questions. But sometimes you might be incompetent to know the right question, which is where sometimes I do come in handy, is I just know what questions to ask. But you gotta get information and not seek advice. See, most people, no matter how wise or successful, give horrible advice. They'll send you astray, so don't ask for advice. Don't. Please, don't ask for advice. Ask them for the information that you can translate into advice. Remember, as I was talking about earlier about math, you got to isolate the the variable. So simplify your decision. Ask if this happened, then X. Or you could do this by asking if that, then why. Then use the smart people in your life to help solve for those variables. The people that you know give you the truth whenever you ask them for it. It's the difference between asking, what should I do? And do you know anyone who ran into problems taking some time off of school, or is taking some time off of work, or taking some time off of running a business that they're doing right now that feels like it's just taking them away from actually enjoying life? That's what I help do. I try to help people in scratching their own itch, because I know that what it's like to overwork yourself like a bimbo, to be overly stressed, to have no freedom, to not be able to slow down and meditate. So you got to try this. What is the worst thing that can happen when you're making this crazy hard decision? Could it cost you some money? Okay, well, money is replaceable. So that's really kind of a stupid reason to be freaking out. I mean, sure, if you don't have much money, it's like air. It's hard to breathe without air. It's hard to breathe when you don't have much money. But when you start making decisions just based off of money, that's when you can start making a decision that will put you in a place that you are going to possibly be very unhappy with, because you're doing it for the wrong reason. I'm not saying that money is a bad thing. It's not. It's actually a great thing. Allows you to do things that you'd rather not be able to do. But if you're making a big life decision based off of just money, take it down, break it down, process it, ask more quality questions. Think, though, about where you want to go. Back out of your decision from there. And think of it like this. Let's say, I don't know, you want to be a politician. Way down the line. Like, you want to actually be a politician. Well, what does the biography of a politician look like? Maybe some military service, success in a private sector, multiple degrees, going to school, clean private life, good connections, rich benefactors, a public profile, one or two key untouchable stances, sense of style. Okay, now when you make decisions, all you have to do is ask yourself, does this help me check off any of those boxes? If it doesn't, it's probably not the right thing to do. Remember to consider opportunity cost. So, this means enter into action with boldness. Just go for it. Sometimes you may have to act before you are ready. Actually, 9 times out of 10, you're never ready and prepared enough for this life-changing decision that you're about to make. It's kind of like if you ask any parent nowadays. I mean, if you right now are a parent and someone asks you, were you ready to have a child when you had one? 99.9% of me, I guarantee, is not ready to have a child. But if I ask you this right now, were you ready to really have a child when you had one? I guarantee you will say no. You weren't ready, but you had to get in. You had to swim, otherwise you'd sink. There was no turning back. Strategy is a matter of options. Generally, the aim, though, to act in a way that leaves as many possible options open as possible. Keep this in mind, though, as you make your decision. What gives me the most fulfillment? Because if you ask yourself that question, what makes me feel fulfilled? What lifts me up? Makes me feel like I'm giving instead of only taking. This will help you weed out. And look at information like inside of a book. I'm telling you, people have been doing this for years. They probably have a decision that they've had to make and a solution in that book. So that's hard to find, though. It's hard to find the right book. But you know it when you read that book, that everything's making sense when you're reading it. So, like, if you decide right now that you're going to leave school, or you're going to start investing in a huge business, or maybe you want to file a divorce, or break up with someone, or quit your job. All those things, write them down. Please do this for me. Write down the problem and do some real action taking. Don't just pray upon this. Don't just hope it gets better. Really take some action and make it better. Create for it to be better. And finally, don't feel guilty for asking for help if you do need to have some counseling or advice. Because honestly, sometimes when you're alone and you're trying to make this decision all by yourself, it can get lonely. The whole reason why I started this podcast is to make people realize that they're not alone in their problems. I said earlier about don't seek advice. And you shouldn't seek advice. You should be seeking for the right question to ask. Because sometimes you just don't know the right answer. Because you just don't know the right question to ask. So, anyways, I hope this little bonus episode helped you. And if you're at all being weighed down with a heavy problem, please don't take another minute to do this by yourself. You can help yourself by asking the right questions. Email me, Logan at LoganTylerNelson.com, and I can help you with the right question to ask yourself. And I can write it down for you. Let's say you hate writing. If you hate writing and doing the hard work, I'll literally hold your freaking hand because I want you to get better. And I want you to make the right decision that you feel like you need to make today. So, I'll bring back Morgan in to just say goodbye. And he's going to tell you a few things, a few announcements.
Well, hi. Yes, I'm Morgan. Hi. Well, first of all, I would like for you to subscribe. Subscribe to Logan Tyler Nelson's podcast. Scratch your own itch. And also, don't forget, you matter and you're enough.
Thank you, Morgan, so much. I appreciate that. Oh, man, Morgan's the man. Anyways, yes, please don't forget that you matter and you're enough. And please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on another episode. And if you found this at all informative, please pay me the best compliment by sharing this with that one person that may need to hear this. All right. I think you are on your way to bigger and better things. Till next time. Don't forget to scratch your own itch. Because when you do, well, it becomes pretty annoying. Because you know how it is to leave a itch unscratched.